And I am live. It's the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. In this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, that means in the wilderness or in the desert. The book of Numbers, as it's known. It's Numbers because the Israelites are, well, tallied. They are counted. And the tribe of Levi is separated, the Levitical tribe. I'll get to that soon. So, what does it mean to be in the wilderness? What does it mean to be in a desert? The association is, a desolate place, one of not despair, but not a lot of life, not a lot of things grow there. The conditions aren't ideal, right? A lot of the environment is kind of inhospitable, and this is where a lot of the Torah takes place, in this wilderness, in this desert. After they are freed from the bondage of Egypt, they still end up in a desert. And even if the spies would not have sinned, and they would have gone in, it still would have been a couple of years in the desert. It's something. The trip itself was, I think, less than a week, but there was this prep time that they had to go through, right? 50 days from Passover to getting the Torah, to receiving it, and then a lot of things going on, the tabernacle, and they themselves physically were in the wilderness, but they were immersed in this kind of divine state. The external teachings, they say that it was, what was it, clouds of honor, clouds of sort of the majesty of God, so to speak. They were kind of immersed in this atmosphere that was completely different, completely out of this world. I mean, manna from heaven, right? And birds from the sea. It's a kind of thing where the laws of nature are, bent. And it's interesting how in this wilderness, there's a lot of order for the Israelites. They themselves are in the wilderness, but everything around them is very precise and very much in order, or ideally. The things which God commands, things like the tabernacle, things that the way that they are, the way that they set up camp and break it up and start moving that way, that I'll talk about in a second. It's all very precise, much like the worship and the work in the tabernacle itself. Very precise. In the middle of it all is the Ark of the Covenant. It's the center of the camp at large. And then there's the tabernacle surrounding it. And then there's the Levitical tribe with the priests and the 3 Levite families around that. And then 12 tribes arrayed in 3 groups of 4. And then outside of that are the people who have wounds which are gushing with blood. And then we have the people who are lepers. And we have those who are defiled by dead bodies. And they're outside of that whole structure. And even then, there's a lot of order there, tons of it. I'm sure if I knew more about sacred geometry, I could weave a whole tapestry here. Alas, I don't. If any of you have any insight into the geometry of it that you could share, that would be awesome, of the way that all that, that whole thing works. And when they used to camp, it was in a very specific way. And when they moved, it was these tribes go first, these tribes follow, then the ark, then the tabernacle, then more tribes. And it was very much a progression, a procession that was very orderly. And then we learn of an even greater precision. Within the family of Levi, there are the priests and the Levites having different jobs, different designations. And within the Levitical family, well, within the priesthood, there is the high priest and the mundane priests, so to speak. And in the Levitical families, there's one family which carries the actual sacred artifacts of the tabernacle, one family which carries the tapestry, or the roof and the walls, and one which carries the poles and things of that nature. And the family which is first called out and set apart is the family of Kehat, which are the carriers of the holy artifacts. So when they would camp, or rather when they were about to move out, there's another separation, more precision. The priests must cover all of the holy artifacts. That means the menorah, the table, both altars, the ark, the what else? The animal, right? Both altars. Yeah, the animal altar, the animal sacrifice altar, and the incense altar. Everything needs to be covered, and only then are the Levites, the Kehati Levites, allowed to come. They are not allowed to see them as they cover it. It's really, really precise. I find it so. I mean, the juxtaposition of them of the desert and the wilderness and everything that entails, the unknown and all that chaos, right? And on the other hand, they're in this very orderly camping, a very orderly movement of the camp, and the actual sacrifices themselves, of animals and of grain, and later on I mean, it's just so, it's very much the way that I feel about, well, the yin yang and life in this world, where at any given moment, any one of you people has something that's in order and something that's in chaos. And we're all trying to get to this balance. And I think that there had to be this precision there, because in this divine state that they were in this divine atmosphere in the desert, it was like, this is a metaphor or an analogy for how the Hebrew man or the believer at large should conduct oneself, even in the midst of all the wilderness and the uncertainty, the chaos, the dangers, all that. You need to have some pillars of order, and you need to have things that you can lean on, things that and that are significant, right? I mean, consider what's going on here. It's the tabernacle, right? And it's the ark in the middle, that whole thing, growing from the center out like a ripple of, what would it be? I don't know. That's Bamidbar. And so next week I'm going to do a Q&A. I hope to do it Tuesday, midnight, Netherlands time, so I'm guessing 6 or 7 hours back, Eastern Standard Time in the US. And if you have any questions, please put them down there in the comments, and I'll see how I take it from there. I hope that this could be something that I could do. I hope there's some engagement, because I like giving my insight on it. I'm not saying I'm giving answers, questions and answers, Q&A. It's not answers, it's just my take on stuff. So that's that. Let's have a wonderful Sabbath, a wonderful weekend. And next week is Nassau, which has a lot of interesting things. Let's have a wonderful weekend. God bless.